All right, welcome back. Episode 4, The Cycle, Premier Slapshot podcast. You know the hosts. Today we have a special guest, Rodeo Balucha. Take it away.
We have the creator of the game everyone listening loves, Slapshot, DonutGaz.
What's up? Thank you. Totally welcome.
Unexpected.
I didn't know we were clapping, but maybe it's well deserved. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Unexpected from most, but it should be a great talk.
Good
episode.
Yeah, well, I hope you have lots of questions because I have nothing to talk about.
We have literally multiple questions.
Yeah, there might be 3.
Do I have like a timer for how long?
No,
I have to think about it, or
no? This isn't Jeopardy.
Oh, okay.
We
This
love
is
long
Slapshot.
answers.
Okay, good.
Yes, the longer the better.
Yes.
Please.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, I've been thinking about it for the past week about what I'm going to say. So,
Oh!
I
I
got a
mean,
whole
by all
speech.
means,
Oh,
by
yeah.
all means.
so I already have
Introduction.
answers to your questions if you're wondering. Yeah.
No.
I guess we'll just kick it off with probably a softball. Favorite part about the early Slapshot development? You know,
The earliest.
Yeah.
The earliest being, like the earliest ever, like in beta.
Can we try
or
both?
launch.
Like way
Yeah.
back, like when you
yeah,
first started
yeah, we'll do
developing it. When
Definitely
Yes.
before launch.
So before launch. So before we'll do beta. Let me think.
probably when you met me, I would say.
Yeah, the second day I think it was. Yeah. The best part was I was so shocked that people had fun playing. Because there's this weird I worked on it for like a month and a half or 2 months before I released it to anybody. And it's weird having people come into this reality you've been living in for like the past 2 months, right? Or like I don't even know if this is fun anymore, right? Because I've just been, skating around on this empty ice as a puck. And so seeing people come on and have a good time was like really a rush, right? Just made that rush continued every testing session. And I also distinctly remember not only did people have fun the first day, but the ensuing days I was going to run a test once a week, and people were complaining that it was only once a week, right? They're like, why are the servers down? I'm like, because we're doing tests. I can't afford to just run a server. And then people kept going on, and I would be at work and they'd be pinging, be like, hey, let's get on. That was pretty shocking to me, especially because it's at that point, I mean, it's still a very simple game, but like at that point it was like way too simple.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was probably the most shocking thing to me. And probably the most fun too, was just seeing other people like derive enjoyment out of the game.
Yeah, I can definitely see like how that would be like super fulfilling, like everyone like enjoying like the work you're putting, especially when you don't know before.
For launch, I was it was weird. Launch,
Probably stressful, I would assume.
Yeah,
No
so
way.
I was expecting.
Yeah.
So launch was weird because it's pretty much at the end of this huge long death march of development and iterating and constantly getting things ready, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when we launched, it was like the worst time to launch anything, right? To be in the most stress you'd ever been.
Yeah.
Because you're just so tired already, right? So it probably, I don't think I necessarily enjoyed working on Slapshot for the first month, right? Because it was like, I loved it. Part of me loved it because it was just so amazing seeing people enjoy it. It was amazing seeing streamers play it, and Noob Weapons, seeing him, spend hours of his day.
Noob. He hit level 100,
it's
by the way.
Yeah,
What's
level
that?
100. He hit level 100. I think he has like
Really?
1,000. He has like 1,200 hours.
I looked at the holy shit. I looked at the leaderboards the other day. I hopped on for a couple of games. I looked at the leaderboards and I was like, wow, they're still going at it, right? I couldn't tell if it was people stopped playing and weren't catching up to Noob, or if Noob was still playing and everyone was
No, he's still
chasing him.
playing.
Good. That's
Did
great
anyone
to hear.
did anyone recognize you when you joined? and
Well, no,
played
I had a
couple
different
games?
Steam name, so I was Mario.
smart.
You were
Incognito.
Mario? Oh my god.
Wait, did you play with him?
Yeah, bro, I played with
No.
him. Yeah.
Wait,
Oh,
was he
man.
good?
Yeah, well, there was an influx, or there has been like an influx of like level zeros lately, level ones, and like low
that's
levels.
what I remember. I was like so shocked that like it wasn't just like the old boys. I was like, there's 16 games going
Yeah,
on.
there
right
was
now.
like
I was
60 people playing, and
Yeah.
like 40 of them were level zeros, and then he was like, well, I don't even know what level he was, but I remember I was like Mario. I was like, I've never seen this dude. He was like, he's got to be a Smurf because he has like got such a plain name, like just Mario. I was like, who is this? Like,
I mean, even right now, a month away from a year since launch, and there's just looking at it, there's near 100 people on. So
Yeah. Well, you know, it's really amazing how difficult it is to maintain. I mean, you all understand this, you know, having been around the community for a while, but it's so hard to maintain an online community, especially if you don't have bots to like fill in the places, right?
right.
yeah,
It's either you take off or you know, you hit that critical mass of, you know, X players that are on all the time,
Right.
or you just have a community that loves it. So it's still small, right? Like 100 players, you know, pales in comparison to the biggest games, of course. But like, it takes those 5 or 6 people that get on and play, even if there's 2 people on, you know, or there's no one because they know someone will be there. That's crazy to me. I was thinking about it before I came on that it was almost a year when it launched because it feels like it's been like 5 years. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, it really does feel like I started playing, I think, 2 weeks after launch. And
Yeah.
it feels like I've been playing so much longer. I mean, it's because I have so many hours, but just like it feels like I've been playing for like a couple of years at this point.
Well, to put it in perspective too, going back to that first month I was talking about after launch, when you joined the community, I remember you were kind of a meme at the start because there was a review written after you.
Oh my god, I didn't know. I still hear about that.
Yeah, you were that hoe Rodeo, right?
Yeah.
So that to me felt like it was like 3 months after launch, right? And now you're saying it's 2 weeks. I'm like, yeah, that whole month, I think I was sleeping like 4 hours a night. You know, I had a full-time job, and the servers were just, I mean, the amount of money they were burning through was just sinful, right? Like we could save whole countries with the amount of money we spent on the servers that month. Yeah, so I don't remember what I was talking about, but yeah, crazy that it was only a year ago, and it's also amazing that, you know, I think especially the help of Irvion and Balucha, other community contributors, definitely revived it a little bit because there was a dip right around, you know, July, August when I kind of said kind of threw my hands up in the air. I was like, I can't do this anymore. And then there was a huge revival because you know I was still paying the server bills up until you know, a month ago or so. So I was like, oh, it went down, then all of a sudden it went up. Message Irvion. I'm like, what did you do? Like, did you leave a server running? He's like, no, we just have more players. Things are going well. I'm like, that's great to hear. So yeah, it's just the way that the community has sustained itself is pretty incredible. I am proud of it, but I think a lot of the pride should really go to the current dev team because, I mean, without all their like continuous work, it would not be.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. We just got right another question. Do you think there was any? I have it worded kind of
weird.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I'll interpret it.
What do you think? Like one of the biggest choices you made early on, like kind of like shaped how the game came out, or maybe difficult decisions, a better way.
What I would think of it is like a divergent path where you're looking at the game can be this or the game can be that, and you made a decision at some point and just decided, okay, it's going to be this. And then
when talking about this question, there was one that popped in my head where I think it was an alpha or beta video where like the puck would like go on top of like the poker chip players. And it seemed like there was like puck lift or something.
Yes.
Like that. I don't know. Obviously that's not in Slap 1 or whatever.
Yes. So that was a tough one because I think a lot of the well, first of all, you would think if there's only 20 people and it's alpha, right? It's got the alpha, beta name, whatever. You think that these decisions would be very easy, right? Like, oh, we're going to go with this. And you're all flexible, right? Because it's beta, right? We're going to change the game. Changes like that were actually very difficult. I was worried that it would ruin the game. But I made that decision for a couple of reasons. One is for simplicity. I felt like the 3D aspect of the game was potentially ruining things that we could like really flesh out more, right? So just in terms of like animations or, you know, physics behavior, that kind of stuff, right? It made it very difficult. If you remove that degree of freedom, right? If you limit it to 2 dimensions, it becomes a lot more simple to develop. and a lot easier to like fine tune the parameters. What was the one where we were flinging the players? What do we call that again? I don't remember. But I just remember I changed it a little bit. People got very upset at one point.
Like bumping, like how you can like
stuff like that. Yeah. So stick checking, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
So tuning those things was very difficult in 3 dimensions, and it made it easier to tune them in 2D, right? Because you didn't have the chaos of the puck flying. The puck flying was a lot of fun though. Like that.
Yeah, that video looked great.
Yeah, we were having a blast. I think from a technical standpoint too, well, first of all, running physics simulations is really expensive. Just in terms of like server costs and also just on the client too. Like some computers just struggled a little bit. I think we went from like 1.5 milliseconds per physics step down to like 0.2 by switching to 2D, right? Because it's like so much less computation you have to do. So yeah, there was a big thing there too. Like server cost would have been exorbitant if it were 3D. Another thing is the reason the physics costed so much was because the puck and the sticks are very small. So some people still complain about Rocket League physics and networking and stuff, but the cars are huge, right? And the ball is huge, and the walls are huge.
Slow.
Yeah, and the goals are huge. So it's like, yeah, it was definitely a unique challenge. But yeah, switching to 2D, I think ended up working out fairly well. Because I do think for beginners, the 3D was fun, but also like impossible to get under control. Yeah, hopefully people still like it if it's 2D. I bet you it would be fun if you switch it to 3D though too. Because I know they're doing it in Unity. It's probably a lot easier. Anyway, long-winded answer to a short question.
No, appreciate it.
So I mean, he kind of suggested that one, but would you say that probably was the biggest divergent path that you could think of?
What do you think?
I mean, thinking back from my perspective, I think that I always saw like at any given point there was the choice between, do we make it more hockey or do we make it more like game, or like is it going to be like its own thing? Is it going to be air hockey, or is it going to be more like hockey simulation? And we still kind of think about that when we talk about Slapshot too. But
yeah, I think well, there's a few things, right? I think if we're doing like the converge diverge sort of vocabulary, we're going to do what was I going to say? I think like 3 players versus 5. I really wanted 6-on-6 hockey.
And it started as 5-on-5 too, on a tiny rink.
I know. And it was a lot of fun, but the thing is, it just like naturally, it just didn't allow for it. And I think people could still have a lot of fun, but it just kind of like it worked, and I wasn't trying to swap that all that much. So that's one example that could have changed, but I don't know if it would have been any different like long term. I think not to butter you up, but I think the decision to go to a more realistic character versus the pucks, I was like very set. I'm like,
no, by all means, go ahead.
No, I think like keeping it simple. I was like, I'm like an engineer by nature, right? I'm not trying to like make things complicated. I'm not trying to have fancy animations, not trying to have all this stuff, right? But that was huge, right? Like that was like you pestering me in DMs was like what got me to change. I was like, you sent me these pictures. I'm like, dude, that's great, but like I don't have time for it, right? Like I'm not an artist. I'm not whatever, right? And looking back, like I don't even know if we would be here if it wasn't for those decisions, right? And you pushing for that. So yeah, that was another thing that was just huge. And also I've thought about this over the past couple months, because I've been like working a little bit with animations. Animations are like amazing, right? Like just these like little tiny things, right? Like the stick lift is very smooth, but like just simply adding in a celebration or like I don't know, more character to the game goes a long way, right? So you could probably for Slapshot 2, you could probably keep the same mechanics. I mean, maybe some people are angry about some, but you can probably keep the same mechanics and just add beautiful things, right? And it would be incredible, right? Like even just like I've seen some like the pond where all the characters are, like mowing about or whatever.
Hangout area,
the hangout area. I want to make that shit my background on like my desktop, right? Because it looks so pretty. You want to be there. You feel like I don't know, the whole world building aspect to it changed. So I think that's probably the biggest one in terms of like user visible stuff.
Gotcha.
That just completely changed it.
Yeah.
Well, that kind of like leads into another question that I was curious about. With my own interest is like, what kind of suggestions or advice would you have for like us working on Slap 2? What do you think you would maybe change or do differently the second time around if you were a part of it?
Well, that, right? Like,
Yeah,
kind of
more visual things, more juice,
visual,
as that guy put it.
More
Do you
juice,
remember?
yeah. Well,
way
that
back.
guy, yeah. Some people made fun. I think there were a few beta members that made fun of him, but I literally saved in a Google Doc all of his suggestions, right? Like, I was like, he's right. It needs more juice. And to me at the time, that was, you know, the not dizziness bar, but the sprint bar, and you know, nicer lighting and shadows, right? That has the juice. But no, he was right. Like, I think if I had just spent 2 or 3 more months working at a more reasonable pace, and you know, enjoying the polish, enjoying, you know, making this thing a little bit more appealing, I guess you could say, visually, then I think it would have been just that much better. But as far as Slapshot 2 goes, nothing really, I don't think, because you've all handled it much better than I did, right? Like, and you all have a much better vision for what you want the game to be, right? And I think that's probably the biggest reason that I stopped and kind of let Irvion and you take it over, right? Because it was like, I made this, right? Like, I got it to this point, but like, in order for it to be the best it can be, is to let, you know, people that love and care about it more than I do take over it, right?
Dang.
So I don't know. I don't think I really have any. I don't think I have any like concrete advice, right? Because it's already doing amazing and it looks amazing. So
we're on our own, Irv. I mean, I think
you should really invest in maybe an engineer for servers and shit, unless Irvion's doing all that stuff, because that shit will make you cry. I'm not even joking. That is hard stuff. And even if you're an amazing engineer, you get caught up in it and have a hard time maintaining it. But no, everything about like the vision and the visuals and all that good stuff looks great. Plus, also good choice using a game engine, because no joke, right? Like, I think
it takes like a lot of the work away.
It does, yeah.
I know so many people like join the Discord and they say, like, they ask a question about Slap 2, and then everyone just responds like, it's gonna be in Unity, it's gonna be amazing. It's like, it's always like one of the first things people mention whenever they talk about it.
Well, the thing is that I just set out on developing it. I was actually going to use Unreal first. I'm sure this is probably one of the most puzzling things for anybody, right? Like, I look at the subreddit sometimes. Someone's like, wow, what was this written in? People are like, Chromium. Like, I don't know what he was thinking, but he just did it, right? I think it's important to remember that I was working with Unreal, and then I was like, this is too slow. You know, I just want to make a game real quick, hockey game. And I don't know if anybody will play, so what does it matter? And then went up and it was fine. But yeah, one person, Unity all the way. Plus having an artist, right? Like, why would you? I feel so bad for Balucha, because all the shit that I made him do, like, he's gonna be fucking dude, you're gonna be traumatized. You're gonna be like 40 and be like, dude, I'm telling you, this guy told me to do it this way, and he'd be like, what are you talking about? Like, what?
Yeah, I think I might have learned like some weird practices that I'm holding on to. I'm like, wait, are we supposed to do it like this? Like, no, it's Unity. You just
drag and drop it in. Yeah. Like, what do you mean you don't upload it to a drive folder? So I was kind of winging it. But yeah, if you're ever working with anybody, especially a non-eng person, God, why would you ever fucking write your own thing? That is just a nightmare. Especially when Unity is, you know, like, and Unreal are like decades old. They've already solved these problems. So that's a big win, right? That's a huge win just by making a simple decision. But anyway, that's my Slapshot 2 advice.
Only got a couple minutes here for you. I know we're
that's fine.
What's the biggest thing you would have changed, either gameplay wise, or if you want to go outside of gameplay is fine, but anything you wish you would have done different, or All that.
I don't know how much I would have changed the game necessarily. Things I would have done differently. Well, it's tough because hindsight's 2020, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Of course, I would have told myself spend another 6 months to a year working on it. Because it was rushed out. I think just the things I did on the fly, like I think it's still in production today. The way that I split up the regions, like how you can select between Europe and Australia and North America. I did that the night of launch at like 3 a.m. And I literally, it's a hard-coded array and it just points to a different server. And the whole thing is it's a whole bunch of scaffolding, right? So just setting up development tools, making it so like again, think about it like this. Servers didn't auto restart. So for the first weekend, I was literally SSHing into servers and restarting them manually and like accidentally kicking out people that were in the middle of the game. It's like, sorry, the memory leak, I just didn't have the stuff in place. So I would have set up more tools for myself to make sure I didn't go crazy. And also giving myself more time. But it's impossible to tell yourself that when it's especially when it's your first game launch and you're like, I didn't know if 100 people were going to play it or 1 million, right? So there was no way of knowing, but experience is the best teacher in that case.
We'll let you get out of here. I just got one more question.
Sure.
That's nice, kind of a fun one. Do you have any plans to make another game or help on another game, or maybe not right now, but like any plans in the future?
So I took some time. I've thought about this, right? Because I love working on projects. It's like oddly a hobby of mine, right? Like it's because I also do it for a job, right? Like I'm a software engineer for a career. So it's weird when I go home and I work on projects similar to that. I've thought about it. A lot of my ideas are game related or graphics related. So I won't be surprised if I put out personal things. Will I launch a game? Probably not intentionally.
Just accidentally.
Yeah. Like if I just have a website or something and put it up and people have fun, then maybe. I think something that was well, first of all, I loved making the game. Again, I loved all of beta, although it was stressful sometimes. I think the biggest thing is that people don't realize when they're making a game is the community management and the community relations and all the work that goes into post-launch, right? Because making it is very easy. Maintaining it and like trying to, reflect what the community wants after launch is very difficult.
Yeah.
So theoretically, would I help on a game? I think so. Yeah, I think maybe as long as I was kind of isolated away from the community more, right? Like if a team came to me and was like, hey, we would love it. Yeah, we would love it if you worked on this thing. It seems like it'd be fun. I'll be like, okay, like just don't make me,
talk to anyone.
Deal with people's issues over like on a weekend night, right? Not because I don't enjoy talking to people, because that's part of the fun, but more of like I cannot have, the pressure of doing engineering work relating to like people directly enjoying things. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's just not really, it's just not a good workflow for me. And I think I tried to fight that and tried to, put on that hat of like a community manager. But the reality of it was, it just kind of was not what I was best suited for.
I feel like one person taking in like that much feedback, like you're just gonna get like any person would just get like scatterbrained and like kind of take some of the fun away from it.
Yeah, it wasn't instant, right? Like I enjoyed a lot of it, and I was like, wow, this is great and whatever. Especially because a lot of people had a lot of really positive things to say, right? People were loving it. People still play it, so that's of course like the greatest compliment. Yeah, but I think over time, like your brain just slowly erodes when given so much feedback. And I went into it saying, I think game developers generally are a little callous. I think they don't open up and listen to users as much, right? Because like otherwise they would make all these amazing games because so many people have such amazing ideas. But it comes down to like you cannot do it. You can't listen to everybody, no matter how badly you want to, right? And this is coming from the experience on the other side too, right? Like I've played games where I've been like, this is amazing. I could work on this game for years. I don't know, but the reality of it is, you guys like care a lot or have a lot of fun with the game. You have like a creative vision for the game. Of course, you're like making a whole new version of it. But for me, I just didn't see it, right? Because for me, it was just I was sitting in my apartment, writing up this simple puck, skillet hockey game. And as soon as I got it to a state, then people took it and it was like, I can see so many paths where this can go. And letting them run with that is important, right? Like I think a lot of think about how many games would be amazing if the developers launched it and then let the community go and do whatever, right? Like that's why mods exist. Yeah. But anyway, going back to your original question, I don't know if I would make another game. Certainly not like I did Slapshot. I think I've learned a lot to the point where I would be able to enjoy it a little bit more. But releasing it on my own without help, probably not. But we'll see. If you had asked me 6 months ago, I would have said hell no. Like I can't do it. So it's not cut out for it. So maybe I'll warm up to it one day, but we'll see.
Kind of similar. Anything you're playing right now that you're enjoying, or do you game a lot? Or
I don't. Well, I almost never game by myself, right? So I'm always playing games with friends,
kind of
or
like a nerd.
Like a nerd, yeah. I don't play games on my
only
own.
with friends.
Yeah. Bro. I've been playing Zelda.
Recently, I've been on a Ticket to Ride craze.
Oh,
both the board game and the Epic Games has it for free. And, some people aren't a big fan of that, but Epic Games literally gives games away for free. Like I've never bought a game from them.
We got Farming Simulator 19.
That's my brother's been raving about that too. Yeah,
you love to hate him.
I played some Truck Simulator for a bit. Believe it or not,
This guy just likes to truck, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Travel. I'm all about travel.
Trucking, training, planing. You playing at Microsoft Flight Simulator too, or
I used to, yeah.
So
no, nothing too crazy though. I kind of just I play Rocket League sometimes, but then I realized that after like a week of playing Rocket League, not continuously, but like every night I'll play Rocket League with my friends or something. I just realized I'm in a terrible mood. Go to work, like sucks. I got the champ, and I was like, that was not worth it. That shit sucks. So, no, nothing really on. I'm not a big. I feel kind of like a fraud sometimes because I made Slapshot. I released my own game, but I'm not really a big video game player. I guess like I haven't played the classics. I haven't, especially making the hockey game. Like I hadn't even skated before. I went and learned how to ice. I taught myself how to ice skate when I was making Slapshot
for the realism.
There, so,
I shot a puck once and it went all the way to the fucking corner. It was awful.
You know what though? It actually brings a unique perspective though, especially like working with Irv. Is I love hockey and have played hockey for a long time.
Yeah.
So in my mind, it's always just like the hockey answer, and he's like, yeah, but what if it was like this? And I'm like, I mean. Actually, that's a lot better. Yeah. Like, there's things that just are the way that they are in hockey because that's how it came to be. But, like, if you look at it objectively, it could be a lot more fun another way. Like, the only reason, realistically, to have, like, a 5v5 or 6v6 is because, it looks like hockey. But if 3v3 is a lot more fun, why not just stick with 3v3,
Yeah, that is tough to stomach, right? Because I built it – because I do like hockey, right? It's not like I was clueless. I just never played before. So it does bring a bit of unique perspective. You'll realize that a lot of small teams or like startups or whatever will try and focus their employee group on that, right? They'll have like half are like related to the industry or like have a hobby or something, and then half are just purely technical or like purely business, right? Because they don't get caught up in the sentiment or emotion of what they're working with, right? So like if you're a farmer, like I met someone that like running this farming company, and half of them are farmers from like the middle of nowhere, and half of them are like Harvard grads that do business, right? Because together they're amazing, right? But if you have just farmers, you're not going to get the business side. If you just have the business, you're not going to sell it to anybody, right? So I think it's a good mix to have, especially with Urbion. He's very objective.
The goalie debate is one that never stops. Like since before launch and even up till now, people are arguing back and forth. Like
Shiba loves goalies.
Shiba loves goalies.
Actually, I don't even know if it's a meme. I don't know. He might be memeing at this point.
Shiba does not meme, dude. He's all in. It's one of those things where you like ask a question and you pretend like you're joking, but you're like dead serious.
Yeah, no, with goalies, it was goalies was actually one of the things I wanted to make before the first beta test, right? And of course, I was just like, fuck it. Why spend the time if people don't even enjoy the regular players, right?
So imagine how different our situation could be now if that was just a given from the first ever version of the game. No, and it's like you'd have to fight to get rid of it, you know? It's I feel like it's harder to get rid of something once it exists if people like it.
Right. I had a lot of ideas for the goalie, right? I was actually super pumped, right? Because you can do so many cool things with a goalie. Especially when it was 3D. That was especially motivating, I guess you could say. So with the goalie, I was imagining 2 pads rather than having the stick. You would have 2 pads swinging around, kind of.
Yeah.
And then you could lift them and whatever, right? That would be so cool. The reality is, I don't know how many people will actually want to play goalie, and I don't know how many people will want to play goalie, even if they're like dead set. Like, I want goalie. Like, it'll make this game amazing. I don't know how many of them want to be goalie after like the 50th time being goalie. You know, I just don't. I don't know. I think it's probably best if you want a little bit of advice, and you know, maybe he'll get all riled up too by hearing this. I think maybe try the goalie character because I think it's just an interesting take on things. And if it sucks, then no one will want to turn it off, right? I guess this is how it works. Of course, then someone will love goalies still, and then they'll be angry and then quit, right?
Yeah.
But
that's just the nature of it.
That's the price you pay.
Make everyone happy, and if you try to, you're gonna make yourself crazy and want to quit.
Yeah. So you do have to like realize that changes are. I think communicating the changes is important, but even that doesn't, doesn't really do the trick sometimes. Yeah, if let's say you put in a goalie character, people will be super pumped. Maybe people hate it, maybe people love it. If they love it, perfect, right? Some people will hate it and then quit. Again, this is how it kind of works. Some people will be like, "Oh, let's do a goalie mode game mode." And you're like, "We only have 100 players on right now, like we can't do that." But yeah, I think giving it a try. I think probably one of my biggest regrets is sacrificing changing the game for the sake of, or like, not changing the game for the sake of keeping people not just happy, but like stable, If you change something, people get very upset. If you don't change it, everyone's kind of fine. I think that's probably pretty like inhibitive or like just like restrictive on a developer team generally. I'm sure you see that with lots of games, right? Because the reality is, like, you can only deal with so much, and like, is it worth the mental cost and like the emotional cost of like upsetting all of your players if you just want to put in a goalie?
There's also a sentiment of like, well, it's fun as it is, so like maybe it could be more fun, but everyone's already enjoying it as it is. So do you want to like risk that by shaking it up? Like, maybe that kind of thing is something to do when people are actually unhappy. You like bring something new to it, but if
that's
people
true,
are already
but then it's an all or nothing thing, right? Then
it's like a 50-50.
Yeah, you don't want to do that. I think if you want to do real feature development and real, expansion and like growth of the game in terms of like for its current players, I think being upfront with them, being like, we're gonna try some things, because we want to make this game better. Some things aren't gonna stick, just by chance, right? Like even if you make, like, I don't know, I've never met anybody that makes 50% good things, right? Like most of the time it's even lower than that. Just if it sticks, great, right? We've made the game better. If it doesn't, then that kind of sucks. I think being open about that is important, but it's also kind of comes back to squeaky wheels. And if you have 1,000 active players per month and 10 people are complaining every hour in Discord, then it might seem like everyone hates it. So it's tough, but if you can stomach it, I always say go for it, because it'll just make the game better.
Yeah, it's super funny how many people like this. The goalies thing is like all day for the like months now.
Oh, really?
It's just
I didn't realize it was such a big deal.
No, I said it was a big deal, but what I didn't say is it's a big deal.
Oh man, no, I thought it was like a meme. Yeah, I literally thought it was a meme, because I remember there would be some people that would be into it, and then I would always tease like, oh yeah, maybe we'll do goalie. And I actually I opened up a branch once or twice. I think it was like goalie, like we're gonna do it, and I never got around to it.
Yeah.
You just fall asleep at the wheel.
Yeah, but I don't know, goalie man. People that I don't know, if they're all juiced up about it. Go for it.
Yeah. Well, I
Throw it in there.
I think that there's actually more support for not adding goalie. It's
Oh, I see.
it's like a bunch of people suggest goalie, and then every time someone suggests it, 10 people like give reasons why it shouldn't be a thing, and
Yeah.
it's just this whole war. It's like kind of funny, but like
Yeah, but at the same time, you realize that both of those groups are going to turn on you if you change it.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know. So you're kind of like, just aiming all this like animosity towards yourself. Maybe not today.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Sweet.
Okay.
Well, I'm always down to come back on if you guys want.
Hell yeah.
Of course, I'm not like avoiding everyone.
No.
I just felt.
No, of course not.
I think when I left, I felt like I had given everything I needed to. Well, at least that I could, right? Like I didn't have any more to give, so I just kind of let myself space out from it, and let Irv and Balucha take it over, which has worked out very well. But yeah, I'm super proud of the community, and I'm super proud of Irvion and Balucha. I know they have two other
Sheba, and they just brought on his name's Ferd Aaron.
Wait, Sheba?
Yeah,
Sheba's the one with goalie. Oh man,
yeah,
it's going in.
Goalie,
yeah, it's going in. But I'm super proud of what they've done. And it's always it's funny. My family members and friends still, they still follow the Instagram, Slapshot Instagram, and they always like it. Like, do you see this? I'm like, yeah, it's crazy. That's really cool. So, no, I'm really happy for you guys. I hope to talk to you all more soon and all that good stuff. I've been sending out some DMs here and there. So I appreciate I appreciate you having me on.
Thanks for coming.
It was a great talk. I really appreciate you coming. I'm sure we'll talk again. Have Balucha contact you if we get you on for another episode.
Oh yeah, if another podcast asks you to go on, say no, because there are other podcasts, and we are the premier Slapshot, the original.
There are
podcast,
other podcasts.
So I just want to say that we're the only one that you should be on.
No, dude. If another podcast messages me, I'll just put my brother on or something. Like,
the Walmart DonutGaz.
Wait. Put on Midas.
Oh shit! Yeah, I won't fool anybody. I haven't. I'm gonna go message Midas after.
There you go.
Yeah, how he's doing.
He's actually, we've seen him around a bit. He played in a tournament the other week.
Oh, no way, really?
Yeah.
He's pledged that he'll come back for Slapshot 2. I actually played with him in a tournament last
sick,
week.
Dude.
Yeah. I played with him in the Kobe Forever tournament. Rest in peace.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, rip.
Yeah, rip. But no, that's awesome, man. I'm hoping to I don't know, how people feel, if they're like, he screwed the game over or whatever, or if it's
just change your name to Mario and come back.
Yeah, Mario.
Yeah, there you go. That's what I did all the other times.
Oh shit, change it to Luigi. Yeah. Oh wait. Shout out to Luigi. Change it to Epic Man.
Oh shit, or what was it, MLB or something like that?
Oh no.
Recycle Bin. By the way, shout out to Recycle Bin if he's still out there, man. I hope he likes the game.
Still grinding.
Still too hard.
I haven't seen him, but maybe he's listening.
Yeah. All right, fellas. Thanks for having
me. Appreciate it, man.
Talk to you later.
See ya.
All right. Well, I think we all appreciate DonutGaz coming on the podcast, not the regular donut, the one that everybody thinks is DonutGaz.
Yeah, the real DonutGaz.
Well, for me, it was interesting because I wasn't around when he was around, so it was good for me to hear that perspective, and I think for even people who might not know him as well, I think it's good for them to kind of hear, and for people like you guys who've been around for a while, so I think it's good just for everybody.
It was a cute little reunion for sure.
Yeah.
Really appreciate it. Sounds like he was doing good, which is great to hear.
Yes.
Yeah, and he accidentally said that he would come back anytime. So next week?
2 a.m. You up?
You up? Yeah,
okay. I know last week we didn't talk about we talked about the top 20 list that people voted on. That was a good
anime
episode.
filler episode.
Yeah, the filler arc.
Not everyone was happy with our rankings. I gotta say
they weren't all our rankings. Okay,
I mean,
the voting.
The list was trash. Rankings. Let's move on.
Yeah, the list is bad, but we're not gonna talk about that. But But now we have SPL to talk about. I think signups close, I think, at the end of this week, and league play starts the week after, I'm pretty sure. I'm not 100% sure on the dates or anything. But there's been some talk about how the scheduling is going to be done. They released the rules today. There's going to be an anti-cheat that you run with the game to scan for any like harmful mods or anything. But also the scheduling restrictions. You can only schedule games from Thursday to Sunday now. So only 4 days. I know it definitely hurts certain players, and it might not hurt all players, but hurting one player hurts a whole team, which is, I think, a lot of people miss that. I don't know how you guys feel. Go into it a bit more.
Well, yeah, because the community is already so small that like you replace one person on a team, like you're basically replacing like 33% of a whole team. Obviously, it's only 3 people, and like the skill in this game is so like it's already hard to be good at the game, let alone it's hard to like find people that you have the same schedule with, people that like you just gel with, like people that you even like to have as teammates. Like there's a lot of people that I love to like play pubs with or like love to just play with in general, but there's definitely not a lot of people that I can say like I want you as my teammate to play competitively 2 times a week for 7 weeks and then play playoffs and competitive and like stick in a voice call and like talk about the game together. Like there's a lot of people that I, like I said, like to play with, but there's not a lot of people that I can say I like to gel with. So like it's kind of hard when like you get screwed by something that really like doesn't really benefit anybody. Like the schedule restriction, like to me doesn't really make sense because it's not benefiting anybody. So like I don't really understand what the point of it is. Like if it's apparently not for the streamers and it's not for the players because it's not benefiting the players at all, it's hindering them a lot, then like who's it for? Like the viewers to have like a consistent viewing schedule, but like to me that doesn't even matter. Like you can watch the game on your phone like while you're doing homework or like anytime.
For the viewers, the most important thing for me for the viewers is the scheduling lock that I did. That was really good in season 1 where I think it was Tuesday night you had to have your game scheduled by, and then there's a penalty for rescheduling,
right,
especially the same day, which really made people like get their schedules in on time.
Right.
They'd lock them in on the website. I think that went really well, but I don't think limiting days is helping the viewers as much as they might think.
Right.
I'm not sure that's their exact stance.
But like, here's another example. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, you're good.
But like with the schedule restriction, right? So say Reno can't play, right? Like he literally has to drop out. Like that's just an example. That means your team would get cut because I'm not an original player, neither is FSI on your team. So you wouldn't have 2 players from the last roster. Yeah. So your team would be literally cut out. And you'd have to find a new team, or like you'd have to play with FSI.
I already
the open division,
right? You have
to posted. I'm like looking for a team
right
now.
That's
like,
what I mean.
I'm exploring options.
So
course,
it's like it just creates like so many of these issues that don't even need to like happen. And like I said, it's not benefiting anybody. There's literally nobody benefiting from the schedule change. It's only hurting people, the league, hurting everybody's like opinions. Like it's hurting everything. Like there's literally no benefit. So that's what I said. I just don't understand like the point of it. If it's not for the casters, it's not for the players, then like who's it for and who cares about it?
Yeah, I definitely think especially coming back from the situation we just got out of where it seemed like today, like when the rules got announced, everyone was happy for the most part. And then like the discussion started about the scheduling stuff. But I just don't think it is unless it's like a workload thing for the staff. But I mean,
they said
I'm sure
there's
a bunch of people. I'm talking about like putting in stats and all that. Like maybe not the streamers. I just don't want to.
Oh yeah.
You know. But I'm sure there's a million people like willing to go on staff and help put in stats and run all that stuff that they could reach out to. But I just don't think this is like that. Like if they added even like Wednesday and Tuesday, like still hard cut Monday, I don't think anyone would have a problem with that.
I mean, even if you just said like, okay, like put a vote, what 5 days are the best days? Like even just asking the community, like what's the most common 5 days everybody can play? Pick those 5 days, then you can be like, okay, these other 2 days are gonna be the days that like we put in stats or catch up on other shit or like whatever. But like I don't know, I just think setting only 4 days, let alone not even 5, and not even like asking anybody for feedback, just kind of like just throwing it out there. And like kind of like Donut said, like if you want to, in his interview about the goalies and shit, he's like, oh, if you want to put goalies in and people don't like it or it's like terrible or people hate it, then just take it out. Like I feel like this is kind of the same thing. It's not even the fact that like you want to make the schedule Wednesday or Thursday to Sunday or whatever. It's the fact that like Flonnie said, you're just unwilling to even change it or like consider change without like this huge backlash, instead of just being like, oh, okay, like, oh, you guys don't like it, oh yeah, all right, what's wrong with it, like, let's try to fix it. Like, it just seems like it's more like a, nah, we want this and you guys work around it, which is kind of the response they gave. Like,
yeah, I just think it's the wrong hill to die on. I just don't think it's like that important. Like, it doesn't feel like a huge change that like needs to be made. Like, I don't think anything is wrong with the placement season scheduling. That's like the big thing. It feels like you got changed for no reason,
right, with no benefit. Like, there's no reward for it.
Yeah, but you know, I'm sure they're considering all options, and placement season ran well, so
yeah,
I hope to see everything resolved. I mean,
well, it's frustrating because I think we all came on the podcast and all we did was gas up how good the league ran, how good everything the first season was. Like, we were all like, shout out to these people. The first season was this. Everything was so good. Everything ran so smooth. And like, now it's like, okay, like, why is this shit all suddenly like becoming so hard to even do when it was all just going good last season? Like,
yeah.
So I think that's where a lot of the people's frustrations, especially like mine, come in, because it's just, I don't know, if it ain't broke, like, don't change it that much, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I definitely hope to see it change, because it definitely fucks us a bit with Reno, and then I'll have to, you know, I don't really know how many thirds are out. There's not a lot of free agents, so I might look for another team, or maybe someone will want to join us. But even then, Reno would have to be on the bench just for me to keep my pro spot.
Exactly, that's what I mean. It creates like, I don't know if they didn't even think of that stuff, like the logistics of like, oh, you need 2 people for this team, so if this person can't play, then like Reno's stuck on the bench. So then it's just like, okay, you know what I mean? It creates all these like these weird scenarios where it's like, why not just say, okay, if you want your game streamed, either figure it out Monday through Wednesday, but Thursday to Sunday is when you're 100% gonna have it guaranteed. We can't guarantee anything from these days, but, you know, play them if you want, and that's it. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Any closing topic or anything?
No.
Like that?
Balucha, I need your opinion. I didn't get Balucha's opinion.
I'm withholding my opinion.
Oh, okay.
I know Balucha is a very busy man and would probably like a more flexible schedule.
Yeah, I mean, it is nice to be able to choose when I get to play. That's all.
Right.
Yeah.
But
I just don't think there's any argument against that unless it's like a workload thing. But
work also, with us on the workload. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I know. I'm sure more people would be willing to help. You know, Criz for Discord admin, whatever the fuck that flyers that Bud always posts.
Bro, I will literally be the player rep, admin rep, PR person. Like,
oh god. Okay. Yeah, we hope to see that resolved. I'm definitely excited to do another season of competitive Slap.
Right, I think we all are angry because we want the season to happen. It's like we're angry because we just want the whole shit to go down and the ship to sink. Like, I think we all want the ship to sail. You know, shout out to the sail.
Yeah. Shout out Yuri. Actually, no, never mind.
Cut it. Cut that out. Cut that out.
No, don't cut it. Just shout out Yuri.
We're not cutting that out. I'm just joking.
Okay.
Yeah, that's really it.
It's probably about an hour, right? So we just chop it here.
Good enough.
Okay. This has been episode 4 of the cycle, I believe.
Yep.
Especially this DonutGaz. You was here for, I think, half hour, 40 minutes maybe.
Yep.
Really appreciate him coming on. Definitely didn't have to do it. A great talk. I think a lot of people are going to like that.
Me too.
Yeah. Definitely insightful. Been a great episode. We'll see you guys next week on episode 5 with hopefully some SBL talk.
Yes.
See ya.
See ya.